These are the solutions to Quiz A on 6.1 and 6.2. First question asks, if you know that -2 is a root to a polynomial equation, then what is a factor? If -2 is a root, which corresponds to an x-intercept on the graph of a function, then x plus 2 is a factor. Change the sign of the number, put an x in front of it, hug that binomial with parentheses. Number 2 has 3 different parts to it. Consider the function that's a cubic function. Sketch the function on the axes given. So first we'll label the x-axis horizontal and the y-axis vertical. And let's set our window for on the x, min -10, max 10, and let's go to a maximum y value of 150 and a minimum y value of -150, and we can easily set that by typing the function y1 into the graphing calculator and looking at the table to see how high or low y goes. So when you do that, you count the tick marks when you look at the graph in the calculator, and you see that the curve crosses the x-axis at -7. It crosses also the x-axis at 2, and the third x-intercept is 4. And we can easily get the y-intercept by setting the x equal to 0. So the x terms would drop out. We get y equal 56. So we're eyeballing where 0.56 might be. The y-intercept might be about there. And we're trying to draw carefully a curve that goes through those points. As we see displayed in the calculator. And this is a sketch of the graph of y equal x cubed plus x squared minus 34x plus 56. Part B asks us to consider our answer in Part A, take that into consideration, and then answer the question, what values of x are the solution to this equation? Well, the solution to the equation would be the actual x-intercepts of the graph. These would be the roots or the solutions. So the solutions are -7, a +2, and a +4. Now we're just making a list of those. We can show that it's a list, a set, by putting in our set brackets. Part C, after we do Part B, says, based on your answer to Part B, how must the expression factor? Well, if -7 is a root, then x plus 7 must be one of the factors. They're actually asking you for each of the factors. If +2 is a root, then x minus 2 is a factor. And if +4 is a root, then x minus 4 must be a factor. So this is a really handy way, taking a graphing approach, of factoring the left-hand side of a cubic equation. Number 3, which came off the 6.2 practice homework sheet, asks us to create an equation of a quadratic function in standard form that has zeros of -5 and 2, so those are 2 roots, 2 x-intercepts, and which passes through the point x is 3, y is -24. So generally the equation is going to look like y equals a times the quantity of x plus 5. Now we get that factor of x plus 5 from the root of -5, or the 0 of -5, times the quantity. If 2 is a root, then x minus 2 is a factor. Now we have our mission. Is to find the a. To find the a, we're going to plug -24 in for the y. Y is -24, then x is 3. So we're going to plug 3 in for the x and solve that equation for a. So the step after the initial one, writing down the general form of the equation is to substitute. We substitute so that we can find that value of a and make that general equation more specific. So our equation now becomes negative 24 is equal to, after we do some arithmetic, 8 times 1 is 8, and 8 times a is 8a. And we divide both sides by 8, and we get a is a negative 3. So now we go up. I'm sorry, a should be, yes, a should be a negative 3. That's correct. Positive divided by a negative is a negative. So now we have to go up and plug that negative 3 in for the a in the general equation. So that becomes more specific now. Y is equal to negative 3 times the quantity x plus 5 times the quantity x minus 2. And when we actually work through problems like this in class, if you look back at your 6.1 and 6.2 notes, you see that we actually compared the looks of each of the equations that passed through the points negative 5, 2, but had a different a. And we saw that they each had a different vertical stretch. Well, now our job is to write this in standard form, so we're going to FOIL the binomial multiplication to get a trinomial. So that's going to give us negative 3 times the quantity, doing FOIL, x squared plus 3x minus 10. And I'm assuming you all remember that the inners and the outers, in this case, combine to a positive 3x. And now we're going to distribute the negative 3 inside the parentheses to get a final answer in standard form. So y is equal to negative 3 x squared, and a negative 3 times positive 3x is a negative 9x. And finally, a negative 3 times a negative 10 makes a positive 30. So this quiz was worth 10 points, and I hope this was helpful going over this.